day 119, 1 hour and 12 minutes. Impressed with the performance of their last rocket, they seek to go where they've never been before. Valentina, Bill, and Bob launch from the launch pad and head toward the moon. Separation is clean and green as the fuel cells depart and come back together. Valentina gets her turn to dock the command pod to the lander, and it is a go. All Kerbals aboard, full steam ahead. The moon rises in the distance, soon to be visited for the first time by the mean green astronaut machine. The rocket is ready and poised for takeoff, and away they go. Landing the probe on the moon proved challenging, as the rover decided to have other plans, such as spontaneously combust. Valentina knows the best way to land a craft is with the greatest surface area, and there's no better surface area than the side of the lander. Like Count Kerbula rising from his coffin, Valentina rises the lander upright with some help from the landing gear. What isn't planted, however, is the rover. Valentina takes great pride in planting the first Kerbal flag on the surface of the moon for all Kerbal kind. The rover takes great pride in scanning the moon rock, and for the first time in Kerbal history, the rover is able to see what exactly it's made of. Jelly? Chocolate? Any kind of sweets or snacks? We will soon find out when the boys back to the lab get to work. Hearing about the delectable center, Bob takes the sample and runs back to the lander. Liftoff is a breeze, as the moon poses no threat to Valentina and Bob, leaving the surface behind to merge up with Bill in the orbit above. Docking the second time proves easier, as a little bump and nudge allows the lander and the command module to join together and the Kerbals to finally reunite. Command module separation is clean, and the capsule is free to float down to its own devices, with parachutes, of course. The Kerbals splash down victoriously, with moon rocks in their inventory and smiles and pride in their heart. It is indeed a truly wonderful day. What new technology will the Kerbals unfold today? Stay tuned to find out.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saki here, and welcome back to another episode of Kerbal Space Program. And as I alluded to at the end of the last episode today, we are going to be able to track the asteroids that are near Kerbin. Because right now we go to the tracking station, we zoom out, we don't see any intimidating rocks nearby, but that's not to say they're not out there. So in order for us to achieve such things as these, we need a geostationary orbit. As you can see here, what I'll do is I will turn off the satellites that we currently have going, and you can see that we have an easterly launch, as indicated by this marker here saying the satellite needs to do this direction, and it needs to be over this location right here on Kiram's Climb. So what we'll do is we will retrofit our old tech, or, the rocket that we use to put in this comms network. We'll just send up one satellite, and we're going to put the asteroid tracker on this thing as well as everything else that's needed by the contract. So if we leave the facility and we look at our contracts, we can see exactly what kind of satellite we need to do. So, a new unmanned probe that has an antenna and can generate power. Ours can do that. Reach the orbit around Kerbin with marginal deviation. We can do that. Hold the stationary orbit directly above Kiram's Climb. That's what we're going to aim to do. We need to have a thermometer on it as well and maintain stability for 10 seconds. Once that is accomplished, we'll get 12 science, 38 prestige, and 278,000 Kerbal buckaroos. And we'll, as well, know what kind of rocks are out here, and maybe we can even do an asteroid capture mission. Just build a base near the asteroid might be cool, or even on the asteroid if we can capture it. But first things first, we need to get a rocket with that particular probe, with the thermometer, able to generate power, solar panels, and fit it with that asteroid tracker. Now, I believe that asteroid tracker is, if we open up our research and development screen, I forget exactly which branch it was in. I'll know it when I see it. Surface, there it is. The Sentinel Infrared Telescope uses infrared light to detect celestial bodies such as asteroids that may pose a risk to Kerbin. So it's runnable, it can collect the data, and, it's just a camera to see what else is out there. So we will fit that on our satellite as well, and I will be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have something that will work. Here is our main lifter stage that we use to get to Keo's stationary orbit. I adjusted the fairing a bit because we're only bringing one of these satellites, but take a look at how big that Sentinel camera is. It fits on top of this thing, but it is a beast. But we have our thermometer on the back side. It can generate power. It's got batteries, got the solar panels on the side, and the comms dish so that, you know, our probe can talk to the ground. Also, I fitted this with parachutes. So we have our probe core here that may be able to steer this thing back, depending on if it has enough, you know, fuel in it. We will see. But only $44,000 to send it, and if we make 200, that is going to be an impressive haul. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the launch pad here. Rocket is ready, SAS on, throttle full, and 3, 2, 1, go! Now this lifter section will be a lot better considering how it's not lifting 3 of those satellites up anymore, just 1, but I don't know how heavy that Sentinel is, so it may just come out in the wash. But we're picking up speed quite rapidly here. We want to establish an orbit equatorially, and then we can just sort of boost up to Keo stationary height. And then as soon as it gets over the location, we can just circularize with the satellite. As a matter of fact, we may be able to get away with just dropping the satellite, you know, off at that height and bringing the rest of the rocket back home while that satellite waits for the correct window. But we are picking up quite a bit of speed here, getting through the little part of the atmosphere. Probably over-engineered, I would say, but that is the Kerbal way of things, to over-engineer your stuff. We still have a good positive rate here. Should get orbital mode here in a second. We'll go full throttle, and we will separate. There they go. Come on, rocket. Steer the correct way, please. We're starting to get some shock heating, but we should also be increasing our altitude. So we're nice and stable here. Hopefully it doesn't flip out too awful much. Let's actually scale down a bit. And there we go. Good apo-apps. So I will go ahead and complete this launch profile, get up to about 80K, and circularize, and be right back with you. All right, about to cross the 70K mark. The fairing will come off, and we will be able to extend our solar panels here and start getting some good charge in here. We're T-minus 1 minute away from the node, burning at 50 seconds. All right, fairing off. Extend these solar panels a bit. Let's see, how many solar panels did we fit on this thing? 3? Yeah, I believe 3. Extend those solar panels, get some good sunlight up in here, and then we shall extend these solar panels as well for our probe. And then at T-minus, oh, it actually recalculated now that we're in a vacuum. So 27 seconds. So we'll burn at T-minus 18 or so. All right, I'll go ahead and circularize and be right back. All right, not entirely circular, but we do have an 87 by 74. So what we will do is we will burn at periaps to push ourselves up to this Keo stationary arc, and then probably just abandon the satellite to its own devices and use the rest of the fuel to come home with. Then the satellite will be able to, you know, see, -2 degrees. So we might use that fuel to adjust our inclination a bit. There's our ascending node. And yeah, we are coming up just a bit. So if we go descend, well, we'll be over here first. So our descending node. Yeah, that is an interesting layout. It's not entirely equatorial. Like it said, it's 2 degrees off. It's sort of going up here. So let's see if we can adjust that a bit. All right, that looks fairly close. So a 2-second burn once we get over there. Warp to the next maneuver, please. And we will just barely squeeze the throttle on this. We should come back around and get nice in the sunlight here. Almost. Are we dead? No, we've got plenty of electric charge. Oh, this thing doesn't have the torque. I mean, there's a lot of weight here, granted. But we can get it going. And we won't have to worry about the electric charge too much, because when the sun rises over the horizon, we'll be fine, and then we'll use the old time acceleration trick to stable ourselves just a bit, just to get that 2 degrees of separation. You know, do most of the work with the fuel that we have down here, and then fine-tune it with our satellite. Now, I don't know if this satellite is completely and utterly balanced. It probably isn't with that big honking thing on top. But we should be okay here. Yeah, we're about to miss our burn, but hold there. Nice and easy. And that should get us in a good inclination. All right, 0.3 meters a second difference. Yeah, so we're bang on 0 degrees on our descending node. And it's a shame because like right here is where we need to be, but we have gone past it. There's no way we can get like up here right now. So we'll go ahead and use our O-berth effect to its full use here. Add the maneuver at the periaps and just raise this up. We need 2860 by 2870. So 2845. I mean, that might be close enough for government work here. 48. Yeah, we blew it just a little bit, but we can fine-tune this with the satellite when we get up there. We just need to do the majority of the work right here, so our satellite doesn't have to. All right, so a 20-second burn when we get over there. Warp to the next maneuver, please. And as a matter of fact, we'll cancel that time warp and get this guy pointing prograde, because it's going to take him a hot second to flip over that way. And we want to make sure that we do not miss our chance here. All right, we'll just turn SAS off, let it go around, and do the little time warp thing right here on our maneuver node. Booyah. All right, so now we are all set to burn at T-10. And then if we're close enough for government work, we can detach the satellite and let it raise its own periaps up, as we have programmed it to do. We'll do stability control there. Full electric charge with 2,800 meters a second of delta V in this stage. Should be more than enough to get us to the Kerbal Space Center on return. And there we go. Burn hard if you please. Yep, just stay right there. And then once we get to the top, we will separate our two spacecraft and let the satellite go on its own devices. All right, let's slow this right down and point to our maneuver node here. All right, 3.8 meters a second gives us what? So we're up to 2870, and that is really, really good. So we will wait until we come over the top right to our apoaps, and we will release our fair satellite. And we actually want to point retrograde because when we release it, we're actually going to be facing the other way, and we want to give it sort of a push away, if that makes sense. So I will go ahead and get out to our marker and be right back. All right, as you can see, time to apoapse is 14 seconds. When we do, we will decouple this stack separator, giving our little satellite a little boost. 3, 2, 1. We have good separation. All right, so now our satellite is of its own devices. We will extend the antenna here so it can communicate with the way beyond, and I am glad that clipped through okay, if I'm honest, because, you know, that could be bad. So we've got 1,400 meters a second available in this little satellite, and as you can see, we are basically on the opposite side of the planet of where we need to be. We need the planet to rotate under us until Kerbal's climb lines up with our apoapse here. So the satellite is in good hands. But what we can do is we can change control. We can grab a hold of our rocket here, point retrograde, and we will do a little bit of a deorbit burn. Not much, just enough to break us away from our satellite and our stack separator that will just be floating harmlessly for the rest of this game, and hopefully it'll burn up in the atmosphere. I'm not entirely sure if it will, but that would certainly be handy. Once we get retrograde, I'll just give it a squeeze of gas, not much, and make sure that we aren't going to plummet into the atmosphere just yet, because we want to land this thing close to the Kerbal Space Center, preferably with enough fuel in it to slow down, just in case the parachutes are not enough to do the job. So a little bit of a squeeze and off we go. All right, SAS off. That lowered our periapse to 72, so we will be fine. So what I'll do is I will time accelerate until the Kerbal Space Center either ends up right around here so we can land it, or until our satellite meets up at the apoapse with Kerbal's climb below. So I will be right back. All right, this might be our opportunity. We just went around the planet halfway, and there's Kerbal's climb. By the time our satellite gets out here to the apoapse, it may be right below us. So we'll go ahead and switch to our satellite. All right, so we'll use the tracking station. No worries. All right, so let's head to the tracking station, find our satellite here that is orbiting right there, the satellite probe. Hopefully that is the one. Let's fly satellite. Satellite and satellite probe. I really need to rename this. Yes, indeed. Okay, so can we rename it from here? Yes, rename vessel, and we will call this Sentinel. There we go, and it's a probe. We accept, and this is now the Sentinel. Sweet. All right, so let's get out to our apoapse and see if Kerbal's climb lines up right below us. You know, that's pretty bang on. I'm not going to lie, I'm extremely happy with that. All right, so we'll go apoapse, add the maneuver, and get into this orbit. Something like so. There we go. So 21 seconds on the burn, and we're 3 minutes away. Hopefully this thing maintains, like under acceleration, a nice stable platform so we can do all the burning that we need to do. We have our engine on. We only need 400 meters a second. Let's go ahead and warp there and burn at T-minus 10. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. If this satellite works, we're in like a dirty shirt. Yep, it can hold. Big Bird. Not Big Bird, but Big Burn. The stability assist right there. And we'll see if it's close enough for government work. Slow that thing right down. All right, so we are stable. We'll see if we get a message here that says it worked. There is sort of a realm of, there we go, bam, contract complete. Station in geostationary orbit, $278,666, 12 science, 38 reputation. And now we have a Sentinel satellite. Let's actually, for aesthetic purposes, let's rotate our camera out a bit. I'm sure it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but I like things to look cool. So there we go. Our geostationary satellite is in orbit with 1,000 meters a second for readjustment. But we've done it. Now we can swap back to the sat probe and get it deorbited. So I will wait until the Kerbal Space Center is under or near our periaps and be right back with you. All right, I think we might be okay. We're coming over the top of it. So let us out of maneuver. We will burn inward toward Kerbin just a skosh. 26,000. Let's actually do something like 30,000 and see if we come over the top. All right, so a 2-second burn. All right, let's get her pointed and get us ready to go. So hopefully we end up rear end first and let this engine take the brunt of it. And then hopefully we can get this thing parachuted and stopped and land at or near the Kerbal Space Center for some money back. All right, so there we go. 2-second burn, 1001. All right, so what did that do for us? Oh, that's going to put us directly into the planet. We need to go radial out, please. Yeah, we need to flip this thing 180 degrees around to radial out. And then hopefully the Kerbal Space Center doesn't rotate too much because we're going to be picking up speed here. So I'll go ahead and radial out and see you for the approach, and we can see how close we get. And do we survive re-entry? All right, nice slow re-entry. We're at 38,000 meters. There is the mountain range right before the Kerbal Space Center, and we have no heating and a little bit of fuel to basically really start to slow down here. Let's slow down to 2,000 meters a second and see if we can coax this thing. All right, we flipped. There's our highest point falling down. We might be in like a dirty shirt here. If we keep slowing down, we are ascending. Let's slow down a bit. See if we can get this thing to fall back into the atmosphere. All right. We are coming back down, but not as quickly. Let's go down to 1,500 meters a second. Maybe even 1,800. There we go. Now we're starting to drop again. And we'll start getting into the really thick stuff here. Yeah, we still might overshoot. Let's basically just slam on the brakes as much as we can here. $1,500 meters a second, is that going to be good enough? Right, we're picking up a little bit speed, but hopefully that lowered, not enough. 1,000 meters a second. We've got 400 meters a second left in this stage. Yeah, let's burn it all right here. 700 meters a second, and I believe we can hit those parachutes. All right, we're coming down. Nice. So we're really starting to fall here. And we've only got 150 meters a second of thrust left, so there we go, flame out. So we're counting on these parachutes to deploy when it is safe. We are right over the top. So hopefully once we hit this thicker part of the atmosphere, we'll start slowing down to terminal velocity. The parachutes will kick in, and we will be just outside the water of the Kerbal Space Center for easy retrieval. So I will see you once we get to the ground. Parachutes deployed well. We are intact. We'll see if the engine survives the splashdown, but we brought back our booster section. We'll see how much money we get for it. Nice and easy in the water, splash, and over it goes. I tell you, with those solar panels, batteries, the fuel tank, and the engine itself, that might be really worthwhile. All right, let's recover that vessel and see how much we get back from it. It's always good to get some money back. All right, so there is the 20 science from a vessel return from Kerbin orbit. Nice. Sort of an ancillary goal. We got back $12,000. So 1/3 of our entire rocket, and probably another third is out there floating in geostationary orbit. And the most important thing now is, now that we have the Sentinel out there, we should be able to zoom out and see. Maybe we need to turn it on? Let's see. There's a Sentinel. Let's fly the Sentinel and see if we can turn on this camera. All right, start object or log observation data. Oh, nice, 45 science. We get back 56%, but 25.2 more science from the infrared telescope high over Kerbin. All right, so that is uploaded. Getting our electric charge back, thankfully. Hopefully these solar panels are enough to provide it with the power it needs. Start object tracking. Oh, it needs to be in a solar orbit. You know what? I think we can do that. We just basically have to escape Kerbin's sphere of influence here. I mean, the contract is done, and that is just part, that part is done. We don't need anything in geostationary orbit. Let's use our periapps. Well, crap, that's not really going to work. It would be nice, although it might, if we add the maneuver, and we just add a crap ton of delta V and break free of Kerbin's sphere of influence. Yeah, that's only 21 seconds. What is the least amount we need to do to get out of orbit? 17. So if we go 20 seconds, we will break free from Kerbin's sphere of influence. We'll be in a solar orbit, and we can activate that infrared telescope. Sweet. So I'll go ahead and do that. Get in the solar orbit and then start tracking. Hopefully our tracking center is boosted enough. So I will be right back. All right, T-10, off you go, little probe. We'll just burn for 20 seconds to escape Kerbin's sphere of influence, and then once we are in solar orbit, we will be able to scan what is out there. Assuming we have enough electric charge out there. That indeed is the case. All right, is that good enough? Did we break free? We did indeed. All right, so let's go ahead and warp here. Our little satellite will be in solar orbit. Goodbye, Kerbin. And this is the furthest thing we have ever sent. There goes the moon and Minmus. We're out there. All right, let's fast forward here. Get to the Kerbin escape. and then log the nearby data. Four, three, two, one. All right, there's the flip. We are in a solar orbit now. I don't know if we'll ever return to Kerbin, but now is the time to get some space science. So we'll log some observation data. We will take that high over the sun, another 33 science. Transmit that, get our electric charge back, and then start object tracking. Mapping asteroids passing near Duna orbit. World first milestone. We've orbited the sun and gathered the first scientific data around the sun. And what kind of charge? Okay, yeah, it's going to generate power. If we head to the tracking station, we should be able to see those close Duna objects now. Objects near Duna. Near Duna's orbit? I do not see them. Maybe I need to turn them on? Are they debris? All right, so they're not debris. Probes, landers, ships, stations, bases, relays, EVAs, space objects. I'm not seeing any space objects. Okay, that's fine, I guess. I mean, job's a good one. We got some extra science and whatnot. But that will do it for me in this episode of Kerbal Space Program, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what kind of things we got here. Ruggedized vehicle wheel landed at Duna for $1 million. It might be time, or we might get Sarah Kerman. I mean, a little easy orbiting rocket. Yeah, we can do a rescue mission. I don't know how Sarah got out there, but we'll go ahead and take that contract, see where Sarah is. Where are you, Sarah? Okay, Sarah. Looking for a little Kerbal marker here. Is that it? Where is our little Kerbin? Altitude at the surface. I have no idea what those are. Valentina's oversight. On the surface, huh? So we've got some surface tracking that we can do. Let's, I don't know where Sarah Kerman is. She might be in a pod. Yeah, Sarah's debris. All right, so she is in a 93 by 80 and pretty equatorial. So we will be doing a rescue mission in the next episode, ladies and gentlemen, to free Sarah. Hopefully she's got some experience with her. And then we'll be looking forward to maybe sending a satellite to Duna or establishing some sort of space center. But our probe is off and going. But that will do it for me. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'll see you in the next Kerbal Space Program video. Take care.